Hi guys, welcome back to another chapter a day series. Today we're reading 2 Kings chapter 23, and previously in 2 Kings we talked about the book of God in the house that King Josiah was building for God. So basically Josiah decided to rebuild the house of God that Solomon built, but during Solomon's time he decided to put idols in the house of God to mock God. So King Josiah, who is 6 years old, decides to start all over again and build a house of God in honor of God's name. But in the process of doing that, he finds a book of God and he decides to take that to the priest Hezekiah to understand what the book says. So today's chapter, 2 Kings 23, is really long. It's 37 verses and it's an amazing chapter, I guess. So verse 2 to verse 3 is basically talking about them reading the book. So Hezekiah and Josiah take the book and they're reading the book. From verse 4 to verse 5, we understand what the book says. So basically, the book is kind of an understanding of what will happen to the Israelites for what they have done in the sense of mocking God and basically just ignoring God. And at the end of the day, Hezekiah and Josiah came to a conclusion that they need to take away the idols and the priests that the kings of Judah have placed up in the house of God. So they do that and they finally take it out. And Josiah is doing good. He's doing good in God's sight. But then finally he has to die. So he started his reign at 6 and he reigned for 22 years in Jerusalem. And in verse 25 it says, and like unto him there was no other king before him. So no king after Solomon or after him was like him. It says here that he served and turned to the Lord with all his heart, with his soul, and with all his might, according to all the laws of Moses. Neither after him rose there any like him. So there was no king like him or before him, which is amazing because that's just a great example of how age does not really matter. You doesn't matter how young or old you are, God can still use you if you just let him. So yeah, that was really amazing. But then again, there's a new king, Jehoahaz. Why do they just keep on having the same names? I don't know. But he's 20 and he starts to reign 3 years in Jerusalem. He does that which is evil in God's sight and continues to do the evil that has been going on. So yeah, that's basically all for today's chapter. It's really long and but still straightforward and exciting. I mean, for how long the kings have been doing so much evil and finally just that breakthrough of good. And even though the previous king before him, Hezekiah, did good, the approach he took to do the good was bad. So it's just, I want to say, perfect with what this king has done. But anyways, that's all for today's chapter, and I think this is a great example to show how idolism can really lead to troubles, because the Israelites idolized the prophets so much and the king so much, and I feel we also do that too. It's very easy to idolize especially pastors who are preaching God's words to us, and because they see this situation as something that's very gullible. In this situation, Christians are very gullible in as a relationship with pastors. That's why some people just come up as false prophets, because they find it's a quick, catch to just go into, because you believe anything. But no, some pastors don't even take the time to read God's word. I pray that some actually read God's word, because they're supposed to be forerunners for us. They're supposed to come to us and preach God's word to us and give us understanding of God's word and prepare us for his coming. But when you start to idolize them, it's very sensible that they will stop preaching what they're supposed to preach and only preach things that you want to hear. They won't preach the real word. They'll only sugarcoat things just so you can find it good, because you're giving them so much attention. And I mean, God has been trying to show this with the Israelites. Moses, anger management issues. Solomon, lust. David, fornication and manslaughter. I mean, he killed Uriah, and so many other kings. The kings after Solomon is just a whole trail of evil. It's not trying to show that, oh, all the kings or all the prophets in Israel were evil. It's just to show that although God picked out this people, it doesn't mean they're not sinners. It doesn't mean they can't sin. They're flesh just like you. It just means that they have taken the time to build their relationship with God. Hopefully, some of them have taken their time to build their relationship with God and have some kind of discipline with God and a spiritual confidence in discipline and God. That's why they can come up and be forerunners, nothing more. It's really sad when I see people idolize pastors. You're doing good by preaching and making the word more understandable, but they're flesh just like you. Stop idolizing. It goes two ways. The person being idolized is wrong, and you, the idolizer, is also wrong. So no one's right when it comes to idolism. Just focus on God. Go with an open mind into church. Listen to what the pastor has to say, but focus on God. Don't idolize the pastor. Very simple. Don't idolize forerunners of Christ, because guess what? Everyone is a sinner. We're all flesh. We're all sin. There's nothing special. It's just some people take more time to put discipline and, grow in their relationship with God versus just taking Christianity as a religion, but take it as a relationship with God. I don't know if I make any sense, but focus on God and God alone. When it comes to the relationship in Christianity, it's God, not you and your pastor, but God. So, yeah, that's all for today. And I pray God gives you peace to come to Him as you are and to overcome whatever sins you're struggling with and to grow in your relationship with Him. See you in the next chapter. Bye.